Right?
And the Pac-12 too. So
yeah. Hey, what's going on, everybody?
What is going on,
How y'all
everybody?
doing?
Happy Thursday. It's not a normal, during the season Thursday night football type of thing, but
New time slot. Yes, sir.
Yeah, we hope we can provide a little bit of an alternative piece of entertainment for y'all. What's going on, Bender?
What's going on, Bender? How you doing,
Good to
man?
see you, man. Anybody else who's in here, thanks for joining as always. Like John mentioned, I feel like I'm a little out of frame in my shot. We are officially moving to our second of our 2 streams per week to Thursday instead of Saturday. So hopefully that works for everybody. But yeah, just real quick, obviously there's some big shoes to fill as far as these championship games coming up, as far as entertainment for next as relative to last week.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm expecting fireworks for that Bengals-Chiefs game, and I'm
hoping
that the Bengals absolutely kill the Chiefs. I
think there's a lot of people. There's a lot of people
Yeah.
who are pulling for Cincinnati.
Yeah.
As you know, and you either it's that old mantra. You either die a hero or you live long enough to see yourself become the villain. And the Chiefs are becoming a villain, I think, for a lot of people. So the Bengals are that new team, that new upstart team, and they obviously are the one team in the way of potentially dethroning them. Should be a good game. And then we'll see about the 49ers and the Rams. The Rams are the better team, the higher seed, all that, but the Rams have beaten them 5 or 6 straight times. I think it's 6 straight times.
Yeah, I'm not expecting that one to be quite as exciting as the AFC matchup, and I am predicting a Rams win.
Firepower potential there.
But yeah, there is.
Something that's going to be key in that game is Matthew Stafford has played some mistake-free football the past couple of weeks, but he didn't play a ton. He didn't play mistake-free football in the regular season. So let's see if that trend continues. I think Stafford's going to have a good, like the 49ers are not going to come in and roll over. They just, they've won 2 road playoff games. So, by that metric, you have to imagine the Rams are the favorite, but it's been done before where teams go on a road crusade through the playoffs.
Look, I think we're underestimating the effect that Cam Akers is for that offense. We've seen them use the running back out of the backfield, pass catching in multiple games, multiple different times. That's not something you can do with Sony Michel. That's absolutely something. I mean, we've been seeing it, that they're doing it with Cam Akers. I think that's just another dimension for a guy like Matt Stafford, and I think that's one of the reasons why we've seen him click. And obviously, Odell Beckham getting more comfortable. But yeah,
that's been a massive addition for them. Clearly, Odell he hadn't lost it. It felt that way when he was in Cleveland. All he needed to do was get into a much better situation.
Yep.
And that's exactly what happened. He's going to cash in free agency this offseason.
Does that make Jarvis Landry a buy low once the Rams cut him, or before the Rams cut him?
Could be.
Or not the Rams, the Browns.
The Browns.
The Browns.
Yeah, the Browns cut.
Yeah.
Could be. How old is Jarvis at this point?
He is going to be 29, I believe,
or
so
30. That's not too bad.
He's the same age as OBJ. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, they played together at LSU.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, he could be a decent buy low.
that
landing
whole
spot's going to be
class is
important.
turning 29, 30. That Hall of Fame, that crazy wide receiver class, not Hall of Fame, but I mean, you got a lot of Hall of Famers in there.
You got some good pieces.
Started off with Sammy Watkins, and then I think OBJ, Mike Evans, OBJ, Jarvis Landry was in there, Allen Robinson was in there, Calvin Benjamin, I think.
Right, maybe not Hall of Fame, but
no.
Couple good pieces.
Pretty damn
from
good
that class.
Yeah.
Couple good pieces from that class.
T.Y. Hilton, maybe.
I thought T.Y. was a little before that, but
might have been.
I can't remember.
Might have been.
No, I think T.Y. was before that. Maybe by a year or two. But yeah, Odell's been a huge addition for the Rams. Yeah, I mean, Rams went out and made a bunch of draft picks don't mean a whole lot to this Rams team. They've moved a lot of pieces. They've signed, they signed free agents. They made the trades. They got a lot of star power, a lot of big names on that roster.
Hey, they're moving like a dynasty contender. They're trading all of their draft picks for assets.
They're putting the chips on the table for now.
Yeah, I like it.
Right now,
I like it.
For the next couple of years.
I like it.
Yeah. Duh. Should be a fun weekend of football as we ultimately get to see who's going to be playing in the Super Bowl. So it'll be fun. Just wanted to kick things off with
Bengals Rams.
Yeah, it could be.
Yep.
Could be Bengals Rams. Bet a lot of people are rooting for that. Wouldn't surprise me. What's going on, AB?
How you doing, bro?
But
let's get into the first subject of today, and it's the second subject on the thumbnail, and that's the Saints. Before we get into this chat, and we'll hit up some of these questions in the chat before we or after we talk about the Saints for like two minutes here.
Yeah,
it's not looking good over there.
So Sean Payton retires. This happened was this Tuesday?
He steps away from football. He didn't retire.
Stepping away from football,
right.
Which by all accounts could mean he's getting out of a bad situation to potentially put himself in a better situation. A lot of people have floated the Cowboys as a potential landing spot for Sean Payton. But yeah, he walks away from the Saints. Man, was he not from an NFL on an NFL level? The Saints are. I feel like they entered that you either love them or hate them territory. But for fantasy purposes, that offense was a gold mine under Sean Payton. You got to give him that.
Yeah, and he was ingenious in the way that he utilized multiple running backs. He was kind of one of the first head coaches to really do that with Kamara and Ingram, and before that with Ingram and Hightower and different guys.
Pierre Thomas.
Right, yeah. Who was that other guy in there? It was Pierre Thomas, Mark Ingram, and
they had somebody else.
There was somebody else. Doesn't matter.
Yeah. They had the number one rushing attack for fantasy purposes under his tenure, like every year in, year out.
Yeah.
It was a fantasy gold mine. It didn't matter who was back there. They produced. And that was with Drew Brees. That was at a time where the Saints were a heavy pass-happy offense with Drew Brees throwing the ball around all over the place. So testament to Sean Payton's offenses. They created a lot of fantasy production, a lot of fantasy points. There's a good chance if you invested in a Saints player during Sean Payton's tenure, it worked out okay for you. So, shout out in that regard, because that's the business that we're in. We're in the business of playing fantasy and winning fantasy.
Yeah, I know he's not one of your favorite head coaches, though. I do know that.
I am not a big fan of the Saints on an NFL level. I've seen my team lose to them in big games on far too many occasions. But you got to give somebody their flowers when it's obvious that what they're doing is working.
Yeah.
And the Saints offense was again excellent for fantasy purposes over the past 10 years, if not longer.
So now for fantasy purposes moving forward, I mean, we have no quarterback. We have no stability at head coach, no real stability in the front office. I mean, in front office, we can't really say that, but head coach, yes.
Just head coach.
And they are saddled right now, and I'm gonna try this out. I'm gonna see if I can switch from our current screen, the chat, to something else, and then switch back. We'll see. But
we're tinkering with technology over here.
Here we go. All right. So we got This is 2022 cap space. We got Saints all the way down at the bottom with -$74 million in cap space.
Oof. Yeah,
there's not a lot they can do with that.
Yeah, there's a lot of there's gonna be a lot of potential movement here.
And it worked. The chat didn't go away.
No, it didn't. It glitched for a hot second, but it looks like we got it figured out. But yeah, the Saints are in a bad spot as far as like what their cap situation is, how much flexibility they have this offseason. Now, it's fair to bring up the point that NFL teams often, if they find a way to do business, if they want to do business, they find a way to do business, right? Like restructures exist. They can make.
I mean, I was going through their roster. I was going through their roster and seeing. All right, they could cut this guy and shave 10 mil against the cap. They could cut this guy and save 8 mil. Cut this guy and save 3.
Yeah,
they might be able to get close to like -10. But I don't see a way where they could get anywhere near in the green here. They will be in the red, which means they'll be fine. They might catch a penalty or something, or have to pay money.
Yeah,
whatever. But all that means is they're gonna have to rely on undrafted free agents, veteran guys that are settling for veteran minimums,
shed salary in the form of trading for draft picks.
The guys that are already there.
Yeah.
They're not moving away from Kamara.
I was going to say, it would, in a vacuum,
huge contract for Kamara.
Would it make sense for them to shop Alvin Kamara?
He's the one guy they should probably, they should be holding on to.
They should be holding on to.
I mean, they just paid him. They just paid him.
But so are they going to be good by the time they finally turn things around? How old is Kamara going to be? Is Kamara 20? He's 26, I think. He's 26. He'll be 27 before the season starts. So, like, let's say this is a two-year rebuild. Let's give him the benefit of the doubt and say it's a 2-year rebuild. He'll be approaching 30 by the time they're maybe ready to turn things around. Would it make sense for them to try to unload that salary, get a draft pick or two in return? It would make sense, but
if you cut him or you trade him,
they won't cut him. I'm thinking like a trade.
If you trade him, you're still incurring $3 million dead cap this year, $6 million dead cap next year. It's a savings of $11 million, but you absolutely cannot cut him outright to save money. But
he's not a cut candidate, but he might make sense as a trade candidate.
He might. But the guys that I feel like you should be looking at here are Marquez Callaway. Again, I know. Bottom of your bench next year. Last player to be picked, but the reasons why you liked him going into this past year are going to be exactly the same next year. On top of that, Adam Troutman. We've talked about being Adam Troutman fans for the past, I want to say, 2 months. Saying that I know he didn't.
More than that.
Well, back on the train. Because we were high on him coming into last year. And then he didn't really do much, and Juwan Johnson was outperforming him, and that offense looked terrible, and he wasn't doing anything. Even with no other real playmakers around him outside of Kamara.
Right. There was nothing in the pass catching department for New Orleans, and he still came up small. Right.
But we've been saying for 2 months now, we were probably a year too early on Troutman.
Right. He's only going to be 25. He's turning 25 actually next week.
There you go.
So this is not a position. Right. This isn't like running back where you worry about the fact that he's 25. Like 25 is it's not old for a running back, but like you want running backs for dynasty purposes who are 21, 22. You want tight ends in dynasty who are 26, 27.
Basically, I think
that's when they finally start to figure the position out.
What all this is just it's going to give you a discount on all Saints skill position players in dynasty.
Yeah.
until there's some stability in that offense or in that structure or whatever. And I don't think that happens this year. But I think everybody knows it's probably not going to happen this year. So you can probably go out and trade for a Troutman now, for a Marquez Callaway for like a fourth or something. I mean, you won't have to give up a lot for Marquez Callaway. You might have to give up a couple of thirds for Troutman.
Are you talking dynasty?
I'm talking dynasty because that doesn't apply in redraft right now. Once there's some stability there, we might think differently. But my takeaway from the Saints situation right now is if you're in a dynasty league, you should try to trade into one of these assets. Even Kamara is kind of a buy low right now.
Oh, you think he's a buy? I was going to say, because I think the Saints should sell him. You think you should try to buy him in dynasty?
Yeah, because even if the Saints sell him, he's going to go somewhere and produce. I mean, it
goes to greener pastures.
He was one of the best running backs in the league last year. Still,
yeah, still good.
Without Breeze. So like
he's the type of player you're not as worried about because with wear and tear because he's a pass catcher. He's not slamming up the middle every time. Although he did it more this year than he had in prior seasons of his career.
He's a player I could see the Dolphins going out and trying to get. The Dolphins have been rooming for. We don't got to go real deep into this because I want to get into these 2022 rookies. But they have the most cap space in the NFL. They've been talking about needing a running back for years, and they were talking about giving up a whole buttload for Deshaun Watson before.
They were linked to Deshaun.
Before Tua started playing a little bit better. I mean, they're linked to going out and getting guys. They were linked to Aaron Jones last year. They were linked to a couple of these guys. So
yeah. Running back remains a need for that team. So yeah, could be interesting to see. At the end of the day, I'll give it like a 5% chance of happening. Yeah. Teams just don't trade their stars. It's just not a thing that happens in the NFL. Like, I know it happened this past offseason with Matthew Stafford. That's probably that's the one you can point to, but Stafford's a quarterback who had played for Detroit for 10 years. Yeah, I mean, we
don't got to dig into this.
I know. My point is, like, teams don't really trade their stars. I don't really see Kamara going anywhere despite the Saints' cap issues is what I was getting at. Yeah. Could be a situation to avoid next year. We'll obviously have to wait and see who the quarterback is, but New Orleans could be looking at a 2 or 3 year rebuild coming up.
Could be longer. I mean, they could just be... I mean, what are they without Sean Payton? And Drew Brees. Like, that was always the thing. They had Drew Brees. They had Sean Payton even after Drew Brees. Now they don't have Sean Payton. And they have negative $71 million in cap space.
Yeah, it's not a good situation.
Which means this is going to be a multi-year issue for them. It's not 1 year of cap hell and they can work themselves out of it. Mm-hmm. They're going to be here for a while. And if they don't hit on draft picks in early, they're going to suck for a while.
Yeah. Could be some dark days for 2022.
But let's get to this chat. Let's get to this 2022 wide receiver redraft rankings.
Way too early wide receiver rankings, but doing it anyway because this is what we do. Let's get to it.
Number 1. Who you got number one?
You want me to go first?
Yeah, I want you to go first.
So,
my rankings are not going to make sense to anybody. So I want you to go first.
Smart. Open things up. Nobody's going to get it at all. I am...
My wide receiver 1 is Gabe Davis Bender.
Gabe Davis is the wide receiver 1 for the rest of the time.
I'm kidding. Go on. Sorry.
I'm not. So obviously we've talked about this before. There's a lot of expected quarterback movement this offseason, right? It's hard to predict where there's a slew of guys where it's hard to predict where they may end up playing. And you can officially throw Pittsburgh in. We already knew it was going to happen, but it's official. Ben Roethlisberger did retire today, so it's official. Pittsburgh will have a new quarterback. There's going to be a lot of quarterback movement this year.
Oh, man, and I want to talk about that, too, the whole Pittsburgh situation. Maybe that's for next...
Maybe that's next time.
Yep, next stream.
I just wanted to... It was the point I brought it up was because we expect a lot of quarterback movement this offseason, and the conversation is going to start with Aaron Rodgers. You may know where I'm going with this. For now, again, things are going to change. This is way too early. January rankings. We haven't even finished this season yet as it pertains to the playoffs. For now, I will give the benefit of the doubt of the potential return to Green Bay, and I will just say that I have Davante Adams at number 1. This is more maybe a respect type of ranking than it is any type of logic. Davante Adams has been a top 3 receiver for fantasy purposes year in, year out for the past 3 or 4 years. He is an anchor. He is a stud. His footwork off the line of scrimmage is second to none.
The past 3 years, not past 3 or 4. Well, since 2020.
Okay, past 3 years. He's excellent. Is the point that I was getting to, and in a very limited sample size, has proven to still be able to do it even without Aaron Rodgers as his quarterback. He put up some pretty good numbers. Again, this was before he was the wide receiver 1, but he put up some pretty good numbers, some respectable numbers with the likes of like Brett Huntley at quarterback. This is just a damn good player. Will he move off of the number 1 spot if and when it's confirmed that Aaron Rodgers is not his quarterback anymore? Yes, I will have no choice but to move him down. But for now, it's January, the end of January, when things are fluid and we still don't know 100% about landing spots for quarterbacks. I will put Adams first for now.
And I'm doing the exact opposite with the same information. I'm not giving him the benefit of the doubt that he is going to be playing with Rodgers next season until I see it.
You're operating right now that it's that connection is done.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Fair enough.
I'm assuming Aaron Rodgers goes elsewhere.
That's the expectation.
I'm not assuming Aaron Rodgers goes elsewhere and then the team that gets him trades for Davante Adams.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Because of that, I have Davante Adams at my wide receiver 4 slot.
You have him already down at 4. Okay.
Because I think he's still one of the, if not the best, one of the best wide receivers in the league. But if he's playing with Jordan Love, or he's playing with another quarterback that, frankly, isn't Aaron Rodgers, because he has a mind meld with Aaron Rodgers, I don't know. Unless he goes to the Texans and Deshaun Watson comes back, then sure. But right now, Davante Adams is my wide receiver 4. He's 29, past the age apex, but I mean, he's a Hall of Fame wide receiver.
I think he definitely can get there. Probably needs a couple more dominant seasons, but he can get there.
To me, my benchmark is do you have 3 wide finishes? Were you a top 3 guy for 3 years?
Okay.
And I think he has been. So that's why I say Hall of Fame.
Oh, okay. Got it. All right.
Yeah.
So who's your number 1?
Cooper Kupp.
Okay. All right. The Triple Crown winner of 2021.
Yep.
I have Kupp at 3. So I'm not so far off, but I'll give my reason why for 3 in a minute, but I'll let you, if you have any thoughts here for Kupp at 1.
Well, obviously the 2021 wide receiver 1. In 2020, he was wide receiver 27, but in 2019, he was wide receiver 4. So he was a wide receiver 1 2 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
He was thought of to be the lesser of 2 wide receivers in terms of him and Robert Woods coming into this year and last year based off of where they finished. But I mean, this guy has one of the best, if not the best, fantasy producing quarterback in the NFL. We've seen multiple borderline 2,000-yard receiving years from wide receivers who were quarterbacked by Matt Stafford.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not changing. If anything, Cooper Kupp is going to get a little bit more work because I think they have no choice but to go back to Robert Woods, not re-sign OBJ.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, they can cut Robert Woods and save $10 million in cap space.
What's that dead cap hit?
I don't know.
Something tells me they don't. I wouldn't be surprised if they don't want to do. I mean, they could, I guess.
And then they could use that 10 mil to go out and sign OBJ if they want.
Or try to bring Odell back, yeah.
But right now, they're at -5 million cap space, so they got some moving around to do, and that's projected with the people that they have currently on the roster. They're going to need to fill out the roster to get to 55 players. So, slightly misleading number. Now they can obviously make some moves to get well under the cap, but
they have flexibility.
I don't know. And maybe they do. Maybe they figure out something from OBJ and figure it out.
Maybe he takes a discount to stay in LA. You know, maybe he feels like, hey, my career got resurrected here a little bit. And, you know, you never know how a player is thinking or operating.
Right. But I just think Cooper Kupp is going to continue to Cooper Kupp with Matt Stafford. Matt Stafford's #1 wide receiver. I mean, yeah, he's my one right now because he has a stable quarterback situation.
Right, that's one thing.
That's the differentiating factor between Devontae Adams and Cooper Kupp right now.
Mm-hmm.
Cooper Kupp has a super stable quarterback situation that makes him a top 3 wide receiver. And he's won right now because of what he did last year and his quarterback's track record of
and what he's
producing wide receiver
what he's still doing. He's still doing this year in the NFL playoffs.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a fair argument again where there's so much uncertainty. If you are playing, if you're drafting 2022 early best ball, he makes sense as the wide receiver 1 because you're pretty confident that situation isn't changing in any way.
No.
So that's fair. AB's got a couple of questions in here. Devontae coming to the Raiders. I think that would be fine.
I would not like that at all.
I think that would be fine.
For a fantasy, if he went to the Raiders, I would be selling Devontae Adams like crazy.
Well,
I know that Derek Carr played with him. I know that Derek Carr played with him in college or whatever, but
he's from the area. Yeah.
Derek Carr doesn't use their outside wide receiver, and I know that he might be forced to a little bit more, but he just doesn't use his outside wide receiver.
He hasn't had a player of a player of Devontae Adams' caliber.
I understand that, but he just doesn't use. Okay.
I think he would be fine. Derek Carr is one of those quarterbacks in the NFL where the public perception of him is bad.
No, I think he's a really good quarterback.
Or maybe not
but
bad.
He's
it's
really
just kind of so-so, but the analytics suggest otherwise. He's a good quarterback, and he uncorked it this year. Derek Carr threw more deep
he's a
balls.
really good quarterback in a certain area of the field, and if you want to make Devontae Adams work solely in that area of the field, sure, he could be a Darren Waller, and he could operate in the area of the field that Darren Waller operates in. But Darren Waller is there too. And Hunter Renfrow is there eating into Darren Waller's target share. And if you look at the guys that are operating as true outside wide receivers in that offense, they're not guys that you really want on your fantasy teams. I know Devontae Adams is a different beast.
Yes, he is.
But unless they were willing to give him the Darren Waller treatment and do that, he just doesn't. I don't think he works with that quarterback.
I think he's the type of dude where you find a way to force feed him the ball. And I think Hunter Renfrow is a great compliment to Adams because they're two totally different players. As far as the wide receiver position, there's more than one way to bake a cake. Renfrow is obviously your prototypical slot receiver. Adams is your prototypical outside receiver. That offense, I think that offense opens up tremendously. I mean, you're talking about if the Raiders land Devontae Adams, you're talking about one of, at least on paper, one of the elite passing attacks in the NFL. I would be fine with that spot. I would be just fine. I'll just say this is the last thing I'll say, and then obviously we want to get back to our rankings, but I would have no problem committing to Devontae Adams for at least the 2022 season, if that's where he ended up.
I like many other landing spots better than the Raiders, and if he went to the Raiders, I would be selling.
Personally. I'll take him.
Okay, then.
I'll take him. Me and AB will
like
trade
the Chargers.
We'll trade for him.
Fourth most cap space. Chargers. I would love for him to go to the Chargers. There are many other landing spots that I would rather have him that could afford him more.
Well, yeah, of course you want to attach a guy to Justin Herbert.
I'd rather him go to the Jaguars.
Then I'm selling.
I'd rather him go to the Jaguars for the position that he's going to be playing over Derek Carr. Sue me.
I will sue you.
Let's get back to these rankings.
Let's get back to the rankings.
All right, number two, I have Jamar Chase.
That makes sense.
I have Jamar Chase at number 2. He's 22 years old. Wide receiver 5 finished in 2021. Wide receiver 5 points per game as a wide receiver as a rookie in 2021.
128 targets as a
air
rookie.
yards, he was 9, which means he overproduced. If he was air yards, wide receiver 9, and he finished wide receiver 5 in points per game and just outright in half PPR, that is. Bro. If not for Cooper Kupp doing what he did this past year, to the extent that he did this past year, I'd be putting Jamar Chase number 1.
Okay.
As coming off a rookie season.
Okay.
Because honestly, he was acclimating to the NFL. There were all those things early in the year about him needing to work on his confidence and catching the ball. I know he caught fire
That was
early.
all. That turned out to be like.
I know he caught fire
ridiculous.
early.
Yeah.
But we can't think that this wide receiver 5 finish where he overproduced from where he should have based off of air yards, where he finished wide receiver 9. We cannot think that this is his ceiling.
No, he should get 150 targets next year.
Right. At which point we have to be talking about him being the wide receiver 1, or at least in the conversation.
Yeah.
He could be that guy. Now I have him at 2 because Cooper Kupp situation's not changing, and he just put up like 2,000 yards. Didn't he get there?
He did. Well, yeah, he did get there.
Yeah. So I have to put him number 1.
Seasons ever.
And Devontae Adams might not have his quarterback, so I mean.
Right, like I said,
Jamar Chase
I will move Adams down if and when the news comes, or we know for certain that Rodgers is not his quarterback.
Right. Now, who do you have at number 2?
For me, number 2, it's kind of a similar. I hate that I don't have Jamar Chase at 2, but because I would love to move him higher, but it's kind of the similar. This is where my the thought process is like, okay, go to a stable situation. It's Tyreek Hill.
Okay.
And at this point, like,
we're talking
about receivers where you can kind of flip flop them all up and down. It's personal preference. All of these guys will produce as long as they're healthy. But you know, you want to talk about Jamar Chase being in almost as good of a situation as he possibly could be. It's the same can be said with Tyreek Hill. Again, a situation where you know for a fact that the Kansas City Chiefs are going into 2022 with the same offense that they have in 2021. Same head coach, same quarterback.
I don't think you can say that.
Same good offensive line. Sure you can. Who's leaving the Chiefs?
No, I think the one place that they're going to try their utmost to upgrade at is playmaking somebody opposite Tyreek Hill.
They've proven for the past 3 years that doesn't matter.
Well, but they've made improvements everywhere else to the point where that's the one clear hole that they have. They haven't gone out and Jamar Chase in the way that the Bengals went out and they added another playmaker instead of filling out a certain part of the roster. They went out and filled out their O-line this past offseason. They already had a good defense. It just needed a few weeks to kick in. They don't have any weaknesses outside of possibly running back because CEH is a complete question mark, or a playmaker opposite Tyreek Hill, not counting Kelsey because, yes, tight end. But I'm talking about from a wide receiver perspective. We were talking about maybe Cornell Powell taking that role like 6 months ago.
Yeah.
We were talking about Antonio Callaway. We were talking about Josh Gordon. We were talking Byron Pringle has done well for himself, but he's a 28-year-old journeyman.
Yeah.
Demarcus Robinson. I mean, we've been talking about these guys. Sammy Watkins was here, didn't produce. Now I know it hasn't mattered up to this point. But if you were talking about deficiencies, that's the one deficiency that they have to address through the draft. Or at least one of their top two. They're going to address it. Now, that doesn't take away from Tyreek Hill.
I was going to say, no change. No.
I was just arguing with the fact that you said that their offense is going to look the same, and I disagree.
Their offense is going to look the same from the perspective of who's going to get the targets.
Okay.
No one's coming in and taking targets away from Tyreek Hill to the point where he'll have less than 150.
No.
Or let's say let's just say he'll have a floor of like 135.
I was saying that my point to say that they might actually be able to find somebody who can take.
Sure, they might.
So it might actually help Tyreek Hill.
Sure. Yeah, it could. And yeah, right.
And that's my point was I was making was I feel bad having Tyreek Hill at wide receiver 5.
Yeah, I have him so I'm a little higher on him than you are. See, the wide receiver situation, like, here's the thing. We're not going to have the same wide receivers ranked 1 to 5, but you could easily re-rank all of them 1 through 5.
Yeah.
The point is, you can't unless there's an injury, which obviously is unpredictable, you can't go wrong with any of these guys. So Tyreek Hill's my number 2, attached to the safest passing attack in the NFL and the easiest probably to predict because, again, regardless of if they bring anybody else in, all the production's going to Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce.
Yep.
So I got Hill at 2.
I probably have to adjust that.
I mean, again,
the top 5 is just so fluid, dude.
It's tough to say. It's why I said I can't believe I have Cooper Kupp at 3, but that's where I have Cooper Kupp at 3. The only reason I have him at 3 and not 1 is he had an historic season this year, and it's just impossible. And this is not a detriment on Cooper Kupp. This is just looking at regression and the ebb and flow of the NFL. It's just impossible to expect him to hit the Triple Crown again. That's it. I'm not trying to knock Cooper Kupp. It's just
oh no, I don't think he's gonna hit the Triple Crown again, but
no, I know. That's why
he has a chance to get
a little lower than 1.
He has a chance to get close.
Sure. Yeah. Again, not taking anything away from him.
And a wide receiver
still
that's
a top 5
close,
wide receiver. I'll draft him in the first. I'm going to draft him in the first round if the situation presents itself.
At one point in the year, he was Derrick Henrying other wide receivers, and the second wide receiver next to him was getting 4 to 5 less points a game, fantasy points. So it was.
Yeah,
and the situation again is not
fantasy
changing.
Points a game this year. It was outrageous.
Yeah.
So even if Cooper Kupp, let's put it this way, like I said, Cooper Kupp was averaging about 26, 27 fantasy points per game this year. Even if he scores a touchdown less on average, take 6-7 points away, he's still averaging 20 fantasy points a game.
Yeah, he was still the wide receiver 3 if you took away a touchdown from him a game. I remember making a video on that and pulling out that stat. So dope.
Yeah.
It's cool that you remember that.
So that's why I got him at 3. But again, it's we're splitting hairs.
Yeah. And again, you're operating under the impression that Devontae Adams and Aaron Rodgers are staying together.
Yeah.
So that factors into that too.
Yep.
At 3, I have Justin Jefferson.
Man, he's so good.
Justin Jefferson led the league in air yards last year. Now, he finished wide receiver 4 last year and then wide receiver 4 points per game. But Thielen's a year older.
Mm-hmm.
Kirk carries a $45 million in cap space because they gave him that 3-year all-money guaranteed deal.
Yep.
So that they wouldn't have any back money once they moved on from him.
Yeah, it wasn't a bad deal by the Vikings.
Backlog money once they moved on from him. Yeah.
It was a pretty good contract for the Vikings.
Unprecedented deal at the time. But yeah, now they are absolutely stuck with Kirk Cousins at quarterback, $45 million. Now that's not a bad thing for Justin Jefferson. Justin Jefferson finished wide receiver 6 in his first year, wide receiver 4 this year.
Yeah.
So I have him ranked wide receiver 3 because, Dalvin Cook is a year older.
Oh, this offense is...
Adam Thielen's a year older.
We got to run this offense.
They did not figure out wide receiver opposite them. They were working in Amir Smith-Marset at times and KJ Osborne at times.
He caught a touchdown week 18.
Yeah, Exactly. A long one.
What's going on, Iron, by the way?
What's going on, Iron? Iron Never Lies was popping.
Here's why I'm so excited about Justin Jefferson. It's actually kind of simple. Mike Zimmer's not the coach anymore.
No,
Was it Kubiak? Was Kubiak their offensive coordinator?
Yep.
We're about to see the Minnesota Vikings
finally open it up for the first
with
time
ever. With an offense that is like, welcome to the 21st century. Welcome to 2022.
Hopefully.
Yeah,
they might go sign a Stone Age quarterback or
not to totally try to trash those guys, because Justin Jefferson had, I think, 167 targets this year, so he got his work. But this offense might see, they might throw in a little bit more trickery. They might not run the ball as much. They might actually utilize some college schemes a little bit more. Which has definitely been adapted in the NFL, which I think favors spread offenses. Opens the passing game.
Yeah, I think he has a chance.
I'm very excited for Jefferson.
I think he has a chance to, again, lead the league in air yards.
Yeah, he's my wide receiver 5 right now. I have Chase at 4. But Jefferson's the one where I'm like, damn, I want to move him higher, because 5 feels disrespectful at this point.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I feel disrespectful to Devontae Adams and Tyreek Hill that I have them back-to-back at wide receiver 4 and 5. But again, Cooper Kupp, undeniable. Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson, arrow pointing up.
So your top 5 is Kupp, Chase, Jefferson, Hill, Adams?
Adams, Hill.
Mine is Adams pending Rodgers. I will move Adams down when it is definitive that we know he doesn't have Aaron Rodgers as his quarterback anymore. Tyreek, Cooper Kupp, Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson.
When you do make that move, where are you moving Devontae Adams down to? Just
probably
curious.
Down to 5, and all of those guys move up 1 spot.
Okay. All right.
So our top 5 are the same as far as names, just the order is a little different. But Hill would move to my number 1.
And I feel like I got to put Hill higher. I got to readjust. But anyway, regardless, at wide receiver 6,
who you
got? Hey, you said it first, but...
Okay, fine. My wide receiver 6 is... This is a little fluid too, because I don't know who I'm not 100% sure who the quarterback is going to be for San Francisco, but I cannot ignore the season that Deebo Samuel had. It was outstanding.
He's my wide receiver 6 too. I think from here on we might be in a little bit more lockstep, but
yeah, a little bit more.
Yeah.
If he continued, only 121 targets, so you'd like to see that number go a little higher. I say only 121. It's still pretty damn good. You'd like to see that number a little higher. But if he's gonna run the ball 60 times, that is an element that other players aren't bringing to the position. Now, obviously, that's a benefit for those of you who play in standard leagues and not half PPR. That's what takes away from him a little bit. But you are talking about one of the most dynamic playmakers in the NFL, and I'm so happy for the thing that I'm most happy about for Deebo is he stayed healthy for the first time. It's well known, it was well documented all going into last season. The concerns about Deebo was he hasn't had a full season healthy dating back to every single year of college, much less his first 2 years in the NFL. I think he missed 1 game this year, but everybody misses a game.
Yeah, I have him at wide receiver 6, and I'm not predicting injury because we can't. We will say that every live stream. I don't care. But he was the wide receiver 2 in points per game. The prior years he played in the NFL were absolutely nothing like this one, because it was the first time he was able to stay healthy. He's 26 years old.
That's not bad.
No. Now the quarterback change doesn't scare me.
If it's Trey Lance, obviously...
It doesn't scare me because Deebo Samuel was getting just as many rushes as he was targets. And we know that rushes mean less than targets, but for Deebo Samuel, it seems not to. It seemed like that seems to not matter. Because he seems to be able to make things happen on the ground.
He's a yak monster. He is the yak monster of the NFL.
So it doesn't matter if he's not catching as many passes and his target share shrinks in a Trey Lance-led offense, because they're going to utilize him on the ground. They got Elijah Mitchell there too, so I mean, that's a pretty crazy 1-2 punch.
It's pretty damn good, right?
Yeah, I got Debo 6.
There you go.
And that is crazy to me. That
it feels fine because there's a little bit more.
It feels crazy to me based off of where I had him ranked last year, which was nowhere near the top 24.
Well, it was nowhere near the top 10. But nobody was. But also nobody could predict the rushing share that he was going to get, or the rush attempts that he received. Nobody was predicting that. So that number might stay the same if and when the 49ers turn to Trey Lance.
That's going to be a fun offense to watch.
That will be a fun offense. I'm looking forward to it. What's going on,
it's a fun offense to watch right now, but it'll be fun in the future. What's going on, Mike?
Yeah. He thinks Jimmy G's gone because the 49ers lose. Look,
and
you
49ers think Brady's coming in, and Samuel has a career year. Nah, bro.
Well, but is it because of the ties to Brady? It's where Brady's from, and Brady. Brady has. Obviously, you can take anything that any player says with a grain of salt, but Brady has already said he's not. Or this was a report, so I don't want to say it came from Brady himself, but Brady's not changing teams. That was the report. He's not going to go to a different team at this point. I would be stunned if that happened. It would be wild if it did. But the 49ers plunged 3 first-round picks into the opportunity to draft Trey Lance. I think they're going to
sticking with it.
They're going to move forward with that.
Yep.
See how that scenario plays out. You don't mortgage a future like that to then move off the guy, because there's no way you're getting what would Trey Lance net you in a trade? A first-round pick, or maybe more, but you're not gonna do that. You're not gonna do that. But Debo does have top 5 wide receiver upside as long as Trey Lance is just competent. All he has to do is be competent. That's about it.
And Debo has to stay healthy. That's it.
That's pretty much it. That's all it takes.
Yep. Now, wide receiver 7.
You take this one.
I got Stephon Diggs.
I do too.
All right. See? Lockstep. I like it.
A little bit of lockstep.
Nice.
A little bit of lockstep.
All right. Well, in 2021, he finished as the wide receiver 7. In 2020, he finished as the wide receiver 3. So in the past 2 years, we've seen both his floor and his ceiling. They're pretty close until he just falls off a cliff, which I'm not predicting.
No, he's only. How old is
29? I'm not predicting it.
That's not. See, I'm not worried. If that was a running back, I'd be like, but it's a wide receiver. I'm not worried.
Or he's 28, but he will be 29, I believe. When
doesn't Diggs lead? I think Diggs leads the NFL in targets over the past 2 years.
Yes, because he led the NFL in catches last year.
Yeah, 120.
And he didn't lead the NFL in catches this year, but
127. Yeah. No, he didn't lead this year, but he still went over 100.
He was number 2 in air yards. So despite the fact that, yes, the amount of targets, the amount of catches, the amount of yardage, the yardage that he got dropped, he was still elite.
He's attached to Josh Allen, who is the dude.
They're going to be losing Emmanuel Sanders and possibly Cole Beasley in a cap crunch.
Didn't the general manager say they expect, or who's the new general manager for Buffalo? The old one got hired by the Giants.
No,
Sean
was an assistant.
Assistant GM, sorry.
McBean or Brandon Bean is sticking around.
Bean.
Yeah.
Bean's still there. He said Beasley, he expects Beasley to stick around. That could just be front office speak.
I think that is right now.
Okay, there you go. Regardless, Diggs is the clear alpha of an elite passing attack, an offense that I feel like they would abandon the run game altogether if they could.
Weirdly, they went back to rushing it heavy with Josh Allen.
Was just Josh Allen. Josh Allen's the dude at quarterback and the dude at running back.
Yeah, but I would rather him use his arm than his legs. But regardless.
Yeah, Diggs at 7. I feel totally fine with that, with plenty of upside to crack the top 5 because he just did it last year.
Yep.
So yeah, I feel good about that.
And that wide receiver 8, then I feel like we're going to diverge here again.
We're going to diverge here. we're gonna diverge here because I think I have a bit of a. I don't know if it's a reach or if it's a hot take or maybe this is just
Is
me.
this
All
where you
up
have Deontay?
This is where I have Deontay Johnson.
Of course, I knew it. Yo, look at me with the yes. I knew it. I know you too well, bro. I knew you were good at it because he finished up wide receiver 8 this past year. Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know what else to say.
I think you're crazy, but that's okay.
I am a believer. I don't know what else to say. I am a believer in the talent that is Deontay Johnson. He essentially broke out this year with a fossil playing quarterback. Like Ben Roethlisberger was awful this year. He was awful this year. And Deontay Johnson still put up a studly wide receiver 1 seed. Or he was a wide receiver, finished as a wide, or he was close.
No, he was wide receiver 8. Yeah.
And so I think, and he's already being drafted again outside the top 15. So you're not going to need to reach to get him in 2022.
That's crazy.
Redrafts.
I mean, I don't think he should. He's not outside of the top 15. I don't think he's 8.
He's being drafted behind CeeDee Lamb, DK Metcalf, Jalen Waddle, DeAndre Hopkins, Keenan Allen, T. Higgins, Mike Evans.
Over DeAndre Hopkins at this point. Come on now.
I'd rather have Deontay over DeAndre Hopkins. No disrespect to Keenan Allen, T. Higgins, or Mike Evans, who are all phenomenal wide receivers, but I'd rather have Deontay over all of them. And Jalen Waddle, I really like. I'm not sure I'm ready to go there, though, yet with him, even though Jalen Waddle put up plenty of wide receiver 1 weeks this year.
I think your Deontay at 8 is a little too high, but I guess I get it because I know you.
And 169.
But right now I have him at probably around wide receiver 13.
So the yardage needs to come up. He had 169 targets, nice. 107 catches. 1,161 yards, 8 touchdowns. If he gets his yards up by say 200, he catches 100 balls, maybe he gets into the 1,300 yard range. If he's able to catch another 7-8 touchdowns, again, what all he needs is a competent quarterback, which Ben Roethlisberger was not this year. He catapults.
Yeah, you could argue he's never had a competent quarterback.
You could argue Deontay's never. Well, maybe no, he hasn't because his rookie year, Ben was hurt. Roethlisberger got hurt, and then that was pretty much it for him. Fell off a cliff. Played 2 more years, but was clearly not himself. What can I say?
I didn't know he was going outside of the top 15. That's crazy.
Going outside the top 15. So you're not going to need to reach to get him if you are like me and you're a believer. I have no reason to not put Deontay as a wide receiver 1. And if he was already the wide receiver 8, if he was already a firm wide receiver 1 in all formats with that slop at quarterback, all we need is a marginal upgrade. That's it. And the Steelers are going to try to do that.
I need to cool everybody down a little bit on Deontay and give you the reason why I have him as my wide receiver 12 to 13 and not my wide receiver 8.
All right, cool off.
I'm not pouring a ton of water on him, but I got to pour a little bit of water on him right now. All right?
All right.
Yes, Ben Roethlisberger, all-time level terrible the past few years, but also gave Deontay Johnson borderline all-time targets. His target share, insane.
169 targets. Yeah, crazy.
Yeah, and I mean, he benefited from Juju being out for pretty much the entire season.
Juju missed for all intents and purposes,
which benefited his target share. And I mean, I really like Deontay, and it's obvious he's the wide receiver 1 in that offense and one of the best pure separators and route runners in the league. Hands are questionable at times, but he was also catching passes from Ben Roethlisberger, and we've yet to see him catching passes from a good quarterback. And, maybe then his hands get a little better. But we know he has concentration issues.
Where it's been like...
And they've creeped up again at the end of the year. So,
yeah,
I don't know how much that had to do with, again, a pretty much dead Ben Roethlisberger as far as his arm was concerned. Mm-hmm. But, hey, Will, calm down. Talk to us about Keyshawn Vaughn. but yeah, no, I think he's more like wide receiver 12. He's not wide receiver 8. I think that's a little bit high. To Will's point, but I have AJ Brown at wide receiver 8.
Okay.
25 years old. He's younger than Deontay. Now, he hasn't had the success that Deontay has had over the past 2 seasons due to injury. But when on the field, he's more electric. He's a better wide receiver than Deontay Johnson. When he's on the field, if health is taken out of the equation, he's better than Deontay Johnson. Straight up and down. And his quarterback situation, say what you will about Ryan Tannehill, it's stable. For what it is, it's stable.
It's obviously better than whatever. We don't know what Pittsburgh's going to have.
So, to that point, A.J. Brown is my wide receiver 8. I feel like he's at his floor right now too. I mean, he was wide receiver 32 in 2021, wide receiver 26 in points per game in 2021. Off year, down year for him for sure.
Yeah, not a good year.
In 2020, he was wide receiver. In 2020, he was wide receiver 11. And in 2019, he was wide receiver 15. He does have a ceiling because of this offense.
Right.
He does.
Right. I won't disagree with you that A.J. Brown is the better raw talent.
But I think he's
won't disagree with that.
Based off of, just my wide receiver rankings, I have him right now higher than Deontay, at least until we figure out this quarterback situation. If Aaron Rodgers goes to Pittsburgh, we'll have a different discussion. But yeah, I got A.J. Brown at wide receiver 8.
Okay. I have him at 10. I have A.J. Brown at 10. So like right around where his finishes.
Leave my Gabe Davis ranking alone, Will.
Davis.
Babe Davis. You already know.
Bay Davis. I have A.J. Brown at 10. And I'll explain why in a little bit. So I have Deontay at 8. Some of you might think some people might think I'm high for that.
I mean,
that's
they're
okay.
both wide receiver 8 is, I believe, the ceiling for both of these guys based off of their current situation.
And not to hate on AJ Brown, but Deontay did finish as to your point. Actually, you're the one who called it out for me. He did finish as the wide receiver 8 this year. So it wasn't like it's not like Deontay was like the wide
AJ Brown was getting 169 targets and stayed healthy for the whole season.
But he's not. And it's not his fault. It's not his fault. It's the offense. To your point. Again, to your point.
Yeah, but we also can't expect that to happen with whoever quarterback, whichever quarterback they bring in. We can't exactly pencil in Deontay to get 169 targets.
Well, they're going to.
We can pencil him in to him being their wide receiver 1, but that could be 121 targets. We don't know.
I think 150.
What did he finish with Mason Rudolph in there? Because they're talking about Mason Rudolph as the.
So there was one game there was one game that Mason Rudolph played this year. I'm
talking about the year without Ben, where they were switching between Duck Hodges and Mason Rudolph.
Yeah.
What did Deontay Johnson finish?
Oh, off the top of my head, I don't know that. It was a bad year for the offense, but also Deontay was a rookie. Like, I don't want to take too much. It wasn't like he was a vet who disappointed. He was a rookie with no expectations.
All right.
That's a difference. And Mason Rudolph has proven he's not a starting quarterback in the NFL. So I'm willing to bet that Pittsburgh looks to make an upgrade because even a rookie from this class is an upgrade over Mason Rudolph.
Is it?
And guess what? The Steelers, this is the last thing I'll say, and then we can move on. The Steelers roster is built pretty good, right? Their offensive line needs a lot of work, but their defense is good, and their skill position guys are in place. This team can continue to win next year. Are they a Super Bowl contender? No. But will they look to make even a marginal upgrade at quarterback and maybe not necessarily rely on a rookie? I think so. Is that in the form of Jameis Winston? Could be.
Hey, if Jameis Winston goes there, we'll have a different discussion.
Ooh, baby. Or Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, we'll have a different discussion. I said that too. But right now, it's a complete question mark, and the person that I have penciled in there was Mason Rudolph.
Stability. I gotcha. Well,
if we're talking about people we're having penciled in there.
Yeah.
And I'd much
rather.
Right
now, it's Mason. Technically, it's Mason Rudolph.
Right. Who's your wide receiver 9? Let's get off this.
My wide receiver 9 might be also a little controversial. And what? You have this guy over A.J. Brown? But this dude was a regular wide receiver 1 prior to going on the COVID list. There was a stretch in the middle of the season where he put up consistent wide receiver 1
Amari
weeks.
Cooper.
I'm probably. It's Jalen Waddle.
There you go.
It's Jalen Waddle. He is a PPR monster. Tua Tagovailoa. The Miami Dolphins had the worst pass block win rate in the NFL. The worst.
Stats.
So there's nowhere to go but up. Everybody hates Tua, right? It's easy and fun to hate Tua. Tua sucks. Tua's a bust. Justin Herbert should have been the pick. Much rather have Joe Burrow. Much rather have Justin Herbert. Well, yeah. I mean, sure. But Tua's not a stiff. I'm not ready to go there yet. And even with Tua, Jalen Waddle put up wide receiver 1 weeks.
He was the wide receiver. I believe 11 or 12 through like week 12.
That arrow's pointing up. That arrow's pointing nowhere but up.
So you have him at wide receiver 9 already.
Jalen Waddle is my wide receiver 9. I'm a big believer in Jalen Waddle. I'm a big believer in this previous rookie class in general.
Well, I am too, but I don't have him I don't have him over CeeDee Lamb.
I saw enough. Look, I like CeeDee. I really like CeeDee. I saw enough inconsistencies from the Cowboys this year for me to feel fine about this. Again, it's January.
Now, CeeDee Lamb, 23 years old, wide receiver 18, wide receiver 23 by points per game. He was the wide receiver 20 last year. Mm-hmm. I have him at my wide receiver 9.
And that's fair. You're not going to get a big argument from me about that. You're not.
Because I mean, it's pretty clear that this Dallas offense is going to get upset from a target share perspective because one of these wide receivers is moving on.
Amari Cooper looks like a cut candidate, and that wouldn't surprise me.
And Gallup is moving on. Gallup is a free agent.
I wonder if Gallup gets re-signed.
Gallup could get re-signed because it'd be cheaper than Amari Cooper.
Yep. I don't think
regardless,
Gallup
CeeDee Lamb is going to be the wide receiver 1 by far in this offense.
Yes. And I think that's the Cowboys' defense.
I think we see a jump from him. I'm not gonna go crazy with CeeDee Lamb, but I think we've seen the absolute floor for CeeDee Lamb, and I mean, and he's gonna be leading in 2 wide receiver sets. He's gonna be the guy out there. It's not gonna. He's gonna be the first time. He's gonna be not gonna be playing with wide receiver 1 Amari Cooper,
a guy who's a little bit closer to who can be the wide receiver 1
right
any given week in Amari Cooper.
So he should be the wide receiver 1 every week moving forward.
Should be, yeah.
Based off that, I have him wide receiver 9.
I have him at 11, and we are going 1 to 12 today. How do you like that? So I have CD at 11.
Opening it up for these wide receivers a little bit.
Yeah, no, that's fine. I feel like this conversation, it's different from the running backs because our rankings might be different, but like the arguments are like the debate.
I believe we have
so.
basically the same tiers.
Yeah.
Our tiers are just are a little bit fluid.
It's just
especially
slightly
right
different.
Now.
Right. Again, it's January.
Our tiers are fluid.
Tiers are fluid.
Oh!
You're
right,
a
sorry.
poet.
All right.
You good? You got your poetry out of you for today?
Yes.
Good. So I have Waddle at 9. You have Lamb at 9. And I already mentioned earlier I have AJ Brown at 10. AB just said he's seeing AJ go early second round in a lot of mock drafts. It's a great spot to actually that's a vote of confidence for AJ Brown because his redraft ADP last year started to fall. Like you could get him at the end of the second round last year. Now, unfortunately, as it turns out, that didn't really work out. It was okay. But he missed a lot of time, and he had some down weeks, multiple down weeks last year. He had his ceiling weeks. He had his boom weeks. He certainly helped you in the fantasy championship semifinals.
But to that point, to your point.
But he has him down here.
He has games where he'll give you like 4 for 22.
Right.
where he wasn't able to get it done on a minimal target share like he normally does 80% of the time. But he will have those 20% of games. Now Deontay, if he was getting 5 targets a game, he might give you 22 yards too. But he's not, or hasn't been. So to your point, historically, target share matters. But
volume is important as well.
Yeah, but I mean, we could see Deontay Johnson be getting 5 targets a game, 6 targets a game.
Well, then I need to be the offensive coordinator.
Yeah,
he's getting 15 a game. if I had any say about it, I'm not biased.
It's all right.
And that's
he's my wide receiver 12. So hey.
That's why I don't have AJ higher. I have AJ at 10, and again, to your point, he's never been higher than that for a season. Even his outstanding 2020, he was, he's a low end wide receiver 1, but he hasn't been higher than that yet. So that's why I have him at 10. And it's got nothing to do with him, the talent. It's got everything to do with the offense and the scheme and what he's working with with things that are out of his control. And I wouldn't be so surprised to see some changes come to this Titans offense, because I briefly mentioned this on our last stream, but when we were kind of recapping the divisional round, I think we've seen this Titans team from an NFL perspective, not a fantasy perspective. I think we've seen this Titans team at their ceiling. We've seen them as far as they can go.
They've topped out.
They've topped out. I wouldn't be surprised to see some changes come.
We've seen the ceiling of a run first, rely on defense team in 2020. Yep. And 2021
if you're running the ball and you're playing good defense in 2022, you're going to make the old heads happy, but you're not going to win.
Then you might make.
You're not going to win the big prize. You're not going to win the Super Bowl. You might win a playoff game. Yeah. You might win a playoff game. You might have a good seed. You might be hosting a home playoff game in the second round.
You're not going to make it past these quarterback.
You're playing with fire after that. Unless you're playing with it. Unless if you don't got a good quarterback in a pass happy offense, you're playing behind the 8 ball.
And when that switch happens for AJ Brown, bro, the ceiling's
Oh, dude, if you told me that they're going to get if they're going to get a little bit more innovative on offense and they're going to make a hire.
I just wish they weren't tied to Ryan Tannehill and Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry's a great player. He almost necessitates that you run your whole offense through.
You have to give him the ball because that's how good he is.
And Ryan Tannehill's not the type he's efficient.
He's efficient. He's not.
He's not going to blow the doors off in the passing game, even with limited passing attempts. So it's just it sucks for AJ Brown. But AJ Brown is a
victim of circumstance, and that's why I can't put him higher than 10. It's got nothing to do with him. It's got everything to do with the situation he's in.
Fair. Speaking of that, who is your wide receiver 10?
10 is AJ. Sorry. 10 is AJ Brown.
Okay, right. Duh.
At 8 is Deontay, 9 is Jalen Waddle, 10 is AJ Brown. Number 11 is where I have
DeAndre Hopkins.
Oh wow, you got DeAndre at 10. So okay,
yes.
you're feeling a little bit of you're giving. Is this more respect or just belief in bounce back, benefit of the doubt?
Well, this is uncertainty versus uncertainty.
Okay.
Deontay Johnson, don't know his quarterback situation. Uncertainty. DeAndre Hopkins, I know he's
playing.
I know he's with Kyler Murray. I know Christian Kirk is as a free agent this year, and they might re-sign him, but they might not. And I know that AJ Green is a free agent as well, who's generating pretty large target share.
Yeah, he had a
even
good year.
with DeAndre Hopkins. So I know that he's going into, at least right now, going into the year with Kyler Murray presumably all the way healthy again, hopefully got his head right in the offseason, and they're ready to go. And this competition's Rondale Moore in the pass game. They lost Zach Ertz as well, not just Christian Kirk and AJ Green to free agency. Mm-hmm. And DeAndre Hopkins is a perennial wide receiver 1. Now I know he had a down year due to some health concerns,
injuries, yeah.
But he's 30 years old. He should be able to, while the cliff is coming, he should be able to continue to produce with a very good fantasy quarterback in Kyler Murray, who can get him the ball. We've seen him put up wide receiver 1 years with Kyler Murray just last year.
The first year, he was a wide receiver 1. Yep.
So yeah, I have him as a low-end wide receiver 1 bounce back right now, despite the fact that he finished wide receiver 37 in points in 2021. He finished wide receiver 18 in points per game. And when you take a look at that number, it means he overproduced everywhere with the attempts.
Not too bad.
Right.
Yeah. All things considered.
And he was wide receiver 10 in weeks 1 to week 7 before the injury. Exactly. Wide receiver 10.
All of that was like no touchdown production.
Right.
So even a little bit of positive regression.
So that's why it's not a old head gets the respect thing. It's I know this about this person's situation right now, and the last time that we saw him all the way healthy with his quarterback all the way healthy, he was doing this. And that put him at wide receiver 10 exactly. So that's why I have him at wide receiver 10.
Okay. Yeah. No,
speak again. I'm going to go back to your Deontay Johnson at 8. You're ranking him at his ceiling. I feel like we're ranking DeAndre Hopkins closer to his floor than his ceiling.
Sure.
Because to the point that you just made again, didn't score any touchdowns hardly in weeks 1 through week 7. Because you had him in one of your dynasty teams, and a keeper league, right?
Not the keeper league.
Not the keeper league. Okay.
But I do have him. I do have a dynasty share.
But regardless, wide receiver 10 in weeks 1 through week 7 without scoring hardly any touchdowns. So if you had some positive touchdown regression in there, I mean, he could finish higher than wide receiver 10.
He's due for a good bounce back.
But
yeah. Okay. I might have to reevaluate D-Hop a little bit. I didn't have him.
Some of these old heads. I mean, it's tough with all this young talent coming in. It is a little bit harder to rank some of these old heads.
Right. I can't believe we're at the point where DeAndre Hopkins is an old head, but this is how
30
things
years
go.
old. He is the oldest wide receiver we've come across thus far in our rankings.
Sure.
Speaking of another old head that's 30 years old, I have Keenan Allen ranked at wide receiver 11.
Oh, I thought you have him at 11. Oh, okay, sorry. So Hopkins is your 10.
Yes.
Okay, and you have Keenan Allen at 11.
Yes.
I have CD at 11. But you brought up Keenan Allen first. I'll let you. I have CD at 11. I have Keenan Allen at 12. So only one behind. Yeah.
Okay, I have Keenan Allen at 12 or 11, and
feels disrespectful.
And Deontay at 12.
Allen.
It almost feels disrespectful, especially considering wide receiver 14 this past year. He was 21 in air yards, which means he just overproduced.
3 straight years of 100 catches.
Wide receiver 14, but Mike Williams and Jared Cook free agents, and Herbert is elite.
Herbert is the dude.
Now I expect them to go out. They have the most cap space, or 4th most cap space in the NFL, I believe.
Yeah, they'll be making moves.
So they're going to be going and getting another guy to play opposite Keenan Allen. But I mean, Keenan Allen's going to keep being Keenan Allen.
Keenan Allen's going to continue to be their wide receiver 1. Last 3 years, 157, 147, 149 targets, over 100 catches all 3 of those years. His touchdowns aren't like monstrous, but he still gives you anywhere from 6 to 8 a year. Just rock solid, like upper echelon rock solid. You're getting as safe of a wide receiver 1, like a low end wide receiver 1, as you could possibly ask for. There's nothing but good vibes about this offense.
Yeah.
With Herbert in his 3rd year, so you can probably expect yet another step forward from Justin Herbert.
And Keenan Allen is not a guy that typically relied on athleticism to win. He wasn't the most athletic wide receiver in the NFL. Far from it. He's a technician who knows where to get to the areas of the field and win. Yep. So he's gonna age gracefully. I'm not scared off by his age. Where I would be a little bit scared off by DeAndre Hopkins' age if I didn't factor in they were losing 3 playmakers in the pass game. Mm-hmm. It almost feels like I should have Keenan Allen over DeAndre Hopkins.
And I do. I do have Keenan Allen.
I might be making that. Next week my rankings might change. I might have that. But Yeah, Keenan Allen right now at wide receiver 11. I probably should have him at wide receiver 10 and DeAndre Hopkins at wide receiver 11, but I don't care.
I don't care. Yeah, I have him at 12, and I feel like I kind of just fully agreed with you. I had CD at 11. The only reason I don't have CD higher is, and we did kind of already talk about CD at this point, but just to put a bow on this and wrap it up all nice and tight. I do have him at 11. There's just a little bit of concern I have because of the inconsistencies that I saw from the Cowboys offense in the second half of the year. One thing I do think could potentially be in CD's favor is in 2020, the Cowboys defense was historically bad. They took a big step forward this year. If they come back to earth even a little bit, I'm not saying they're going to go back to their 2020 levels, especially
and they should regress a little bit. There's no way Trayvon Diggs is catching another 10 interceptions or whatever you call it.
Yeah, he's not, and he gave up 1,000 yards receiving anyway this year, so he had some nice numbers on the stat sheet. He still got burned by plenty of receivers. If the Cowboys defense were, yeah, he did. Kadarius Toney actually in Kadarius Toney's only game of 2021, he burned Trayvon Diggs. So there you go. If the Cowboys defense comes back to earth a little bit and one player can't save you, Micah Parsons is phenomenal, but one player can't save you. If they regress even a little bit, which is fair to expect, could put the Cowboys offense in more scenarios where they need to continue to throw, where they need to continue to stay aggressive. That obviously benefits CeeDee Lamb. They just need to get more consistent. And you want to talk about drops.
The last time that we saw, this is Dak coming back from an injury. The last time we saw Dak at full health, going full strength, he was a top 3 quarterback in the league.
He led the league in passing yards. Yeah.
Right, and CeeDee Lamb, I believe, as a rookie, was like wide receiver 9 or something crazy.
He put up big numbers
through that span.
Yeah. So I'm not too far off on that. I have him at 11. I mean, you want to talk about drops? We kind of, Deontay Johnson gets harped on for drops. CeeDee Lamb has surprising drops here as well. So that's something that needs to work on. Now, do I worry about drops when it comes to drafting a wide receiver? No, but we just want to be consistent with our analysis.
If you're targeted a lot, you're going to drop.
You're going to drop the ball.
So, I would rather have a wide receiver that's targeted a lot, that drops passes,
than somebody
who's never targeted. But
they catch all their passes. Yeah. When they do get targeted. So just calling it out. That's all. So I have CD at 11, obviously not too far off from his rookie finish again. And he was playing most of the season with Andy Dalton and who was Cooper Rush.
Garrett Gilbert. Yeah.
Garrett Gilbert. I think that was this year. Cooper Rush was the one who got in like in 2020. It was bad. Let's put it that way. It was bad. And he still put up big numbers. Ben DiNucci. So Ben DiNucci. Yeah. He's the Italian guy. He owns the pizza place. Gabagool. So CeeDee Lamb's not too far off from me from like a potential wide receiver 9 finish. Again, I have him at 11. So still a low end wide receiver 1 with plenty of room to move up, especially if Amari Cooper moves on. And then I have Keenan Allen at 12, 1 spot below you. I feel like we've kind of already sung the praises of Keenan Allen, and it almost feels like I wish I could move him higher.
We don't have anybody ranked outside of the top 12 where the other person doesn't have ranked outside of the top 12. Like our top 12 set, we just have a different ranking within that top 12.
Well, you have Hopkins in the top 12, and I don't, and I think I have Jalen Waddle in the top 12, and
that
you
is
don't.
It. True.
That's it, though. And I'm higher on Deontay by 3 or 4 spots, but that's the biggest discrepancy.
Yeah, and I have Deontay here at 12.
There you go.
I really do like him.
It's
not quite as much as Nick.
And that's okay.
Deontay Johnson is Nick's wide receiver version of Javonte Williams. That's a fact.
Yes.
It's a fact.
Yes. That is how it goes.
Yay, B Gabagool.
Yes, sir. Yeah,
Yes.
get the Gabagool.
Yep. Babagool, I like that.
There you go. That's our variation of it.
Boom.
But that's our wide receiver rankings. Or our very, very early, way too early, will absolutely change in some way, shape, or form wide receivers
they're
1
changing
to
after
12.
this pod. Get out of here, bro.
Yeah.
Or after this live stream.
We'll drop them in the comment section below. But we will go. So we're this is wrapping up shortly here.
Yes. Yes.
We are. So we're off on Saturdays now. We're moving. This is the new Saturday stream. We'll be moving these to Thursday. So we will be back on. We will be back live again on Tuesday. We'll have another topic, but in addition to, I guess we're doing wide receivers 13 to 24.
Yep.
At that point, we will, at least for now, we're gonna stop there. At least with the running back and wide receiver rankings, because getting into running back, if you care to check out our running back rankings, we have previous live streams on our channel. The most,
and we will be posting them on our website once we get to it.
Yeah, that's got to happen.
Yeah.
For now, we're not going to get into the weeds on running back 3s and wide receiver 3s because it's way too early. That's like that's like. Yeah, that's going fishing without.
If you're talking about projection and uncertainty within the top 12, there's no way you can go.
Forget about it. Yeah, forget about it.
We don't have enough time for that. This is a 100% in-house operation. It's me and Nick, and that's it. Everything.
Yeah.
Website technicals. Everything. It's just
the whole
us.
nine.
So we don't have enough time to go to like wide receiver 50. We wish we did.
But what we do have time for. We will continue our evaluation. Everything's very early. You have to caveat that everything's very early. We'll continue to do dynasty analysis, player by player analysis. I got a video on Drake London coming out within the next day or so. So you can keep it locked here for that. We've got some top running back prospect videos on the channel. If you haven't had the chance to check those out, if you care to.
Yep, and I'm going to be adding to those. We're gonna have Rashad White coming soon. We're gonna have.
There you go.
Brian Robinson coming soon. You're gonna have CJ Verdell coming soon. A couple of these guys. Zamir White.
So if you play Dynasty, if you're thinking about playing Dynasty, or rookies get drafted in redraft and keeper leagues all the time as well. So, there's plenty of incentive to get a little bit of an early scoop on some of these guys. And obviously the evaluation will develop and update as we get more information from the combine. And of course, when we know their landing
I can't wait for the combine. That's when the fun begins. But just another reminder to you guys that we did open up our memberships for the just this past week. So go and check out the membership button on our channel page. Check out the tiers.
If you're interested.
And if it's anything that you would be interested in, let us know and sign up and join us on those members only live streams.
Yep.
Which we haven't done yet because we don't have any members. So come on now.
And speaking of joining, we did officially open up a Discord channel. You can find that in the description of this chat or any of our other video or this video or any other videos moving forward. So if you are a Discord user, the link is there. If there's any issues with it, let us know. We'll make sure we get you in there. We'll make sure we get you invited. The conversation hasn't super kicked off yet, but maybe that develops over the course of the coming weeks and months. We'll get an evergreen conversation going of all things fantasy related.
I think once the Super Bowl is over and people get a little bit starved for some football content, we might start getting some folks might be interested in that. But hey, regardless, it's out there for everybody who's interested in it. Check it out. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for everybody in the chat. Y'all are great.
Yep.
And we
appreciate the engagement. Appreciate the comments.
Yeah.
And I think that about does it for us.
Peace,
for
y'all.
This stream for today. So yeah.
Have a good day, night, morning, evening, whatever it is.
Yep. And a good weekend because we're not going to be around on Saturday. So yeah. Thanks again, everybody, for joining. Enjoy your weekends. Enjoy the championship games.
Go Bengals.